Cricket is where we start for this Wednesday on the SportsMax Zone. It's day 3 of our discussion surrounding West Indies cricket and the path forward following their failure to qualify for the World Cup. A few subdued smiles earlier Wednesday as the Windies did end a 3-match losing streak with victory against Oman in their penultimate Super 6 fixture at the World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe. Brandon King registered his second one-day 100, stroking an even 100 to lead the Windies to the target, finishing on 222 for 3. In 34.4 overs, as the Windies went on to win by 7 wickets. Skipper Shai Hope contributed an unbeaten 63 runs. Earlier, the Caribbean men restricted Oman to 221 for 9 without Jason Holder and Alzara Joseph, who have left to return to the Caribbean ahead of the Indian tour. Romario Shepherd was the pick of the bowlers for the Windies with 3 for 44, while Kyle Mears picked up 2 for 31. Here's Hope post-match. This is what he had to say. It was a little too late, unfortunately. Happy with the lessons we have taken from the past few games. In international cricket, there are no walkovers. There are quality cricketers everywhere, and you have to respect it. Today, we played quality cricket throughout. Past is past, and I just asked the guys in the huddle today to enjoy the game, showcase your skills, and show what you can do. Yeah, joining us now to weigh in on the discussion about the future of the West Indies team. Legendary fast bowler Courtney Walsh, and I think Reds Pereira will be joining us as well. Courtney, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Great to have you on. I have eyes and ears all over the world, Cuddy, and from a good source, I heard that you were close to tears on Saturday while watching the West Indies lose to Scotland.
You have eyes and ears everywhere. It was a disappointing result. There's no two ways about that. And any West Indian who said they wasn't sad or disappointed in the result I think would be lying. I mean, it's a World Cup, it's qualification to get into the World Cup, and we didn't make that stage. So obviously very, very disappointed. I'm sure that all the players, should be or would have been, and a lot of West Indian fans are very, very disappointed. Everywhere, you walk, they're telling you, well, how low can we get? What can we do? There's a lot of questions. There might be more questions than answers at the moment, but obviously I think this one has sort of rocked us a lot, and maybe it's a wake-up call that we needed.
Yeah, let me ask you this though, Cuddy, because I think you're in an advantageous position in this discussion because you were a part of the glory days when the West Indies were undisputed kings of world cricket. But your career extended beyond the mid-90s when the West Indies started to struggle. So when you left it at a point at which West Indies cricket had started to fail to win games as easily as we would have in the past. So you're a part of both systems, both experiences. What can you say about that?
Well, as I say, back in the early days, I mean, the commitment was always there. We always wanted to do well, play for the people of the Caribbean. We were proud cricketers, a proud nation, and always wanted to be number one, always wanted to be the best. I just say the decline started before I finished. And, you could see that if we don't do things, it's going to sort of get worse. And I think we allowed that to happen, expecting for us to just get players turn up, come out the rough, wanted to play, and also be committed, because back in the days when we played, I can say that under the Clive Lyde era, the Viv Richards era, all the way down to Surridge, we were committed, we wanted to do well, and we wanted to be the best team on the park. And that was something that we strived to be, and none of us wanted to lose. Obviously, the other teams were catching up with us, and they might have had more resources, etc. But we were still determined to parade our skills and do the best that we could.
Yeah, you said twice just now that your glory team was committed. The inference is that the players today are not as committed.
Well, I would say they're not, but you need to show that commitment, and that is, I mean, if you look at a game like Zimbabwe, I just go back to that. That's a game that you must win if you want the thing. So you've got to come out with your A game there. You can't wait for it, and you got to show more grit and determination, and we just didn't do that in this series. And then after losing that game, we came out and got a big score in another game that is as if you say, okay, the runs is on the board, they'll never get it. I mean, you're assuming from a distance. And that is not what you want to see. You want to sort of, when you get into those positions, you sort of bury them, you bury that team. So after making 374, you want to try and win that game more handsomely. You don't want it to be a close game. You got it to be a close game and then lose a super over. A game like that, you don't want it to get to a super over. You want to show what you've got, dig deep, you learn from the last game that you just lose, and we will have bounced back with a vengeance.
Yeah. I have the answer, or I have my answer to this next question, Cuddy, but I'll still put it to you. Are today's West Indies players less talented than the players of the 70s and 80s?
Talent-wise, I'm not going to say we're less talented. I mean, probably some of us, or some of the players, have got less opportunity on the big stage, so to speak, in terms of playing county cricket in England. And I think that's probably the only way that knowledge, that know-how, the skill, and sort of wanting to do well consistently might be the only thing lacking. But in terms of talent, we have got some of the most talented cricketers around. But that alone is not going to get you through. You've got to have that hardship that goes with it, and have the know-how and that determination, and to try to improve your skills at all times.
So if this crop of players are equally talented as those we've seen in the past, Cuddy, explain the downturn in performance. And because even throughout the years, the players of the past also, it's not like they had the resources as well. And you speak about commitment, but surely there are attributes that are missing with this crop why they aren't going far.
I'll say from where I sit and how I think pride of performance is something that you have to want to be in it. When we played, Malcolm wanted to be the best, Michael Owen wanted to be the best, Courtney Walsh, myself, Joel Garner. So we were all vying to be the best fast bowler for the team. Yet still we weren't competing against ourselves. We would do whatever the team required, but we still wanted our names to be up there to make sure that we were performing and contributing. Similar to a Viv Richards, a Brian Lara, Gordon Greenwich, Desmond Haynes, they wanted to be in the limelight as well to sort of perform. So pride of performance is something that you have to want to do on your own, and that's going to take some hard work and dedication. And I'm not saying it's not done, but I would like to see that more consistency in that. I don't know because I'm not that close to the team as to what they've done, how the preparation is, how determined they are. I can't vouch for them. But I just say in our time, that's some of the things that drive us. We would be competing against each other for the betterment of the team in a very good manner that would improve our game. And at the same time, we would have discussions amongst ourselves as the fast bowlers. Our strong points, our weak points, what we need to do to improve. If one needs to do more running, if one needs to do more bowling. And we would discuss these things amongst ourselves for the betterment of the team.
You know what's interesting about sportsmen and women is that sometimes adversity can drive performances. And I'm not saying that we kind of miss the restlessness of the players contesting with the board, but even then, at least there was something that would drive certain performances. I can distinctly remember us winning a couple of World Cups, T20 World Cups, even with the players going at it with the board, and they wanted to prove themselves even in that scenario, that situation. Do you think that the lack of adversity may be a contributing factor to what we're seeing from the team?
It might be a possibility because we've had that from way back in Clive Lloyd days, having beef with the board, having discussion, all the way comes through to my time. So that was always there. And we will always try to resolve it in the best interest of West Indies cricket, but there's always that adversity that, listen, more can be done on both sides of the fence. So maybe that is missing, I'm not sure. But at the same time, it's good that you have a players association that is there to look out for the players and fully organized. So, but as you say, maybe more of those adversities might have helped.
Cuddy, have you ever been in a position, even if you're consulting with players, that you have been, if not openly shunned, but you get the feeling that these players don't want to listen to you? Have you ever been in that sort of position?
I think just after retirement, I sort of went to a dressing room. I was speaking to some players, and the impression I got at the time was that your time has passed, and it's our time now. I'm going to do it my way. As I said, that was just after retirement. That has not happened since. I've always spoken to players if I had a chance to have a chat with them, tell them what I've seen, if I've noticed anything, encourage them to do what they're doing, and always try to let them to want to do the best they can for whichever team you're playing for. And just remember that you're playing for the region. And I've always tried to pass on those ideas to the players and to encourage them to do well. So, I mean, I've played, I wouldn't say, because I've not been close to the team in quite some time. As you know, I was working with the female team, so I was more closer to them than to the male team. But if I ever come across any of the male players, I was never ever short of trying to pass on advice or having a discussion.
I have a tough question for you, Cuddy, because when you played top-class cricket, cricket board presidents would have been Captain Peter Short, Alan Ray may have been the first president that you played under, although you may have been playing for Jamaica then and not yet to the West Indies team, and Sir Clyde Walcott. Those were some of the presidents of the West Indies Cricket Board of Control that it was, followed by Pat Rousseau and so on. The quality of leadership that they gave to West Indies cricket, was it better or worse than we are seeing now?
Well, I can say I played when I started. Alan Ray was the first president. And as we call him, the Baram, he led by example. His love for the game was second to none. So, I mean, he would do anything he could do for cricket. Peter Short, similar Pat Rousseau, as you know. Clyde Walcott was a former player, a former great player. Obviously, he's going to try to do the best he can. Westall had a stint as well when I was a player.
Yes.
And from my interaction with them, they were always for the game, and they always want to do the best they can for the game, and always try to have some of the former players involved as best as they can. We had cricket committees back in those days. When I finished playing, I was also a member of the West Indies Board Cricket Committee for quite some time. But I think 2 seasons, I worked with Desmond Haynes and other cricketers on that committee. And these were things that we saw, that if you have a cricket committee, then you should have a fair amount of cricketers on that committee that can help to guide the path. I don't know if that's the case these days, but I can safely say those days, those presidents were very keen on ensuring that the cricket is run as best as it could.
But you haven't completed the answer, though, because the logical conclusion then is that the current presidents of this generation, who weren't past cricketers, may not have had the ability to do what you're saying that Alan Rays and Sir Clyde Walcotts did.
Well, I've called 3 guys who used to play the game.
Yes.
The current president, Mr. Skerritt, has just finished his term. The new president, Mr. Shallow, is now starting for the first time. So I think it's going to be hard, or probably too critical, to judge him now. He's only just got into that position.
Yeah.
Skerritt was a manager for the team, so he was trying to do the best he could as well while things was going on. Dave was a president who did things the way he thought would have been the best. But I've never been close to any of these persons in terms of working with them or knowing what's going on until I sort of did the women's part of the program. So it's difficult for me to judge them with the other presidents that I played under.
Yes.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. I don't know the inside out of what they were doing or how they were thinking. I probably knew a lot better ago. Westall managed me, he was the president. Clyde Walcott managed me, he was the president.
Yes.
Colin Ray was a very good friend before I played. From youth cricket days, he was always there for me to have a cricket chat with, the same way I would do with George Edley and stuff. So I was closer to these guys than I was with probably any other president.
Yeah, and I hear you, Cuddy, and I can't help but thinking that the sort of connection and relationship that you are expressing with these former presidents, who were Test cricketers themselves, was a good thing.
It was a good thing because they knew about the game, they knew the art of winning and losing. And a lot of them, Clive Lloyd, I keep calling his name. He was one of the guys of our father figure who played with some of these guys when they were president.
Yes.
So he was able to pass on his knowledge as to what they did, how they went about it, and the struggle that we went through to get to where we are and wanting to maintain that. And I think one of the things that I know is missing, and I keep saying it, I don't think a lot of these players have mentors or people that they relate to or can pass on advice to them. Some of the guys get thrown in at the deep end and they've got to swim for themselves. It's not okay. When I came into it, it was a lot easier because I had a Michael Olin, a Joel Garner, a Malcolm Marshall, a Viv Richards, and a Clive Lloyd to lean on or to ask questions if one needs to be asked. And that to me was very helpful and beneficial for me. We don't have a lot of those senior players around now.
All right, Courtney, thanks for talking to us here. Great having your input on this discussion. We've been discussing this since Monday, and we are trying to get as varied comment and analysis from all angles here. And we're going to talk to Reds Pereira after the break. You know, Reds has been in cricket commentary and sports broadcasting for over 50 years, so we're anxious to hear what Red says.
He's one of the masters. He's been around for quite some time. I remember listening to him on the radio.
Yes.
So it's always good to hear Reds. My duos, him and Tony Kosa, they were sort of the foundation of commentary for the Caribbean. And now we have other Haikon and Michael Owen as well, one who learned a lot from them. So it's good to hear Reds and know that he's still involved.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you stick around in the segment, Cuddy, because we may need you to respond to something that Red says. So please give us the pleasure of staying on the Zoom line, so you have the option of making a comment when we talk to Reds after the break. Back in a moment.